Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go.
I'm ready.
And I'm nervous too because I've never done this before. You know, when I decided I was going to do this,
Yeah.
I just wanted to do it on a shoestring budget. You know, I didn't want to invest a lot in this thing because you got to like dip your toe in the water first. So it's going to be a little uncomfortable, but you know, we'll find our sea legs.
I was going to say, you can edit it, right?
Yeah.
Somewhat. I
Yeah,
mean, if you didn't like
I'm
it,
not,
I don't care what.
No, it's not going to be like a live thing. So yeah,
Okay.
definitely we're going to cut out some of the stuff like dead air or awkward things or whatever goes wrong.
Okay.
You know, in the future when I get used to doing this kind of thing, you know, we'll see what happens. But well,
let's just say that I'm never doing this again. This will be my first and last.
Oh, first and last. So whether you win or whether you lose, first or last?
I don't know. I didn't think it was going to be like this.
It's a tough experience.
I like to be liked. I don't like to be not liked.
Yeah, somebody told me, and it was actually after I had already won the election, but I wasn't even thinking about it when I started. But somebody told me because after that, following a few months, the first few months of my term, there was some other election that was going on, and I asked a friend of mine if he was going to run, and he said no because of exactly what you said. He said that somebody had told him, if you put your name on the ballot, automatically half the people are going to like you, half the people are not going to 100%. Like you. And it just, you know, it fuels that polarization all of a sudden, you know, within your group and people that you know within your circles.
And I think if you want to, have you started? Because I'll say it.
Yeah.
Okay, no, I was going to say that it's hard not to stick up for yourself too. Like people are like, chill a little bit. You don't have to go out there but I feel like I need to say what I need to say. I've always been able to come out swinging like, this is really the story. And, you know, you have to be careful how you word things back at someone. So that's been a little tough. I would like to say, wait, that's wrong. You just said something about me. That's
Is this like
wrong.
During the campaigning?
During
when
the
you're
campaign,
to people? What did somebody say that somebody else maybe accused you of? Like, how did that come up?
That my opponent's doing this, or my opponent is doing that, or my opponent's supporter is doing this or that. And I feel like I want to say, now, wait a second, that is so not me. I would not bring that information into my campaign. Like some things are not supposed to be touched.
Okay.
So I feel like
you purposely being vague, or
no, I just, you know, I know what I've never done this before. Mm-hmm. So this is uncharted waters for me.
Sure.
And I want to follow the rules. And I also think that family members should not be brought in. So that was a little bit touchy for me. I'd like to come out and say, you know, that's not how I roll.
Okay.
So that was a part of it.
Yeah, I understand. It can get dirty.
Yeah.
You know, it can get dirty.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not even directly from an opponent or something like that. You know, sometimes it's just rumors spread from the opposition.
Right.
Know, the opposition supporters.
Right.
Interesting. Well, what lit a fire under your ass? You know, like what like happened all of a sudden? Were you recruited? Did somebody ask you to run, or you just decided to do it on your own?
One day I was walking down the street in Ramsey, and I ran into a person that's actually involved in all of this, and we kind of hang out together at times. We've known each other for a really long time. And she said, now that you have a grandchild, why don't you come and get involved again? Because I was always involved with my kids. And I said, oh, that sounds like a lot. What are you talking about? She said, come to a board meeting, because she's very involved. And I said, all right, let's do it. And so just as an audience member, I hopped in a seat and started listening to what they were saying up on the stage. And it seemed like there was a mess going on up there. And I became interested in what they were saying because they were so divided. It was actually very interesting. I guess I've always loved politics, but it seemed like something I could help with. So I started to speak. And at first I was tentative because I didn't even understand the whole picture. And I still don't, actually. I'm still learning as we go.
Do you remember what the issue was?
At the time, they were talking about, oh my goodness, there was a bunch of things. I'm trying to think back. I think it was
When
about
was it?
the vote, the 56, 57. 57, 56, I'm so sorry. 57, 56. I think that was one of the things. There were a lot of
That
people.
was the trans
Yeah.
policy,
Right.
right?
Right.
Okay.
So there was a lot of static up there. And I had to try to figure out what the heck was going on. But it was interesting to me. And I thought, I really feel like I could bring some peace and some lower the temperature maybe a little bit, because it didn't seem like people were listening to each other. It was just one side and the other, and they were very forceful, and it seemed very uncomfortable. Even in the audience, you got the vibe that it was just, they weren't being civil to each other. It seemed like
Just seemed like a food fight.
it did seem like a food fight, and it seemed very sad to me, because I thought, what happened to my community? What happened? I grew up here. My kids grew up here. I've never seen it like this before. So maybe I can give back. And
Well, it was a very polarizing issue. I remember, because I had spoken at Ramapo Indian Hills, and man, it's like, both sides, they're just fueled.
right.
The whole issue was on fire, and I think that there was a lot of misinformation and disinformation, and it seemed like people weren't actually reading the policy. They
Right.
were only responding to the symbolism of the policy because the word trans was in
Right.
the title.
Right.
It's in the policy head.
Right.
But the reason that there was an opposition to pass that policy was because the one or two sentences in it that kind of strips parents from their rights and knowing what's happened with their kid.
Key point, key wording, key factor made me really pay attention, because I feel, and this brings the mental health part in, and I did want to state about that. I absolutely feel there should be mental health resources in the school. I just, in that one, the 57, 56 and that policy, I feel as though parents need to be involved. So is it the business of the school to do that in that one factor, in that one situation? I feel as though the parents need to be the ones to go along the path with the child, the student.
I thought the same thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to keep them out of the loop.
Yeah.
My thing was with the policy, it was almost like that movie Minority Report. You ever see that movie Minority
No, but
Report?
I've heard
It's
about
with Tom Cruise. He plays this cop in the future, and there's this special unit where they use these prophets, or they're like these three people that can see into the future, so to speak. So it's almost like it was called like a pre-crime unit.
Okay.
So people were convicted of crimes before they had even committed them.
Okay.
It's actually a great movie. It was a good
Okay.
book. I think it was by Philip Dick. It's irrelevant, but it goes to my point with that policy.
Yeah.
Basically, they were I think that they were playing on the heartstrings of a lot of people.
Yes.
And they basically were saying, oh, well, for the safety of the child, we're concerned about the child. If the child is having trouble at home and he can't talk to his parents, or maybe we're afraid of the repercussions if the kid comes open about it, and, there could be maybe some abuse or violence at home. But that's prejudging.
Yes.
That pre-crime.
Right.
And I was just like, well, that would set a very bad precedent, because you could do that for anything.
Absolutely. And I think that kids, students, I should say, or school officials or parents might even be surprised at how much they'd accept a child's questions. And maybe, I think it might be surprising how much a parent might understand at that point and try to talk to the kids and bring them to their... See, to me, you have to give the
I just don't think
parents a
it's
chance.
even their right. I don't even think that it's their right.
But if a child does go to a school official, no matter what, and says, can you help me with this? The parent should know. Now, so you're saying that it's not, what if a child does do that? Then it's not their right to what?
I'm saying the education system, the bureaucrats,
Yes.
the board, the staff, the teachers, whoever
Yes.
it is, it's not their business. I think it's
Agreed.
inappropriate for them to create a wedge between the student and their parent in a situation like that.
Yes.
They're not the parent. It's not their child. If there's something like an alarm going off saying that the kid comes with some bruises or he's claiming that there is abuse at home, different story. Go to the police.
Right.
But we already have policies
Not,
for that.
not
And I
one
think,
size fits all.
sure. Look, there are a lot of gray areas, but in general, we already have a policy. If a child is in danger,
Yes, we do.
yeah, okay, that trumps everything. You
Yes,
got to go to
yes.
the police because we don't
100%.
want kids being hurt.
100%.
Okay? But to prejudge,
That's right. That's right.
you
Absolutely.
can't do that because then it sets the precedent for almost everything else. Like, what if the kid is getting bad grades? Okay, we're going to keep that information from the parent because he goes home and, the father is maybe going to give him a butt whipping because he failed science or something like that. You can't be afraid of that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, across the board,
stupid.
I believe that if there's something going on with your child, the parent needs to know, whether it be whatever it is. And that includes if a child is thinking about changing their gender. There's no possibility that should be hidden. There shouldn't be two files on a child. There should be one file. The child sees it, the student, the school sees it, and the parent sees it.
Can you imagine if a parent goes into like a parent-teacher conference or like say parents' night at the school? They're going in the classroom and they see some of the projects and they're looking for their kids' projects and they don't see it.
Right.
Where's little Stevie's finger paintings?
Right.
Oh, yeah, Stephanie's finger paintings, they're over here.
Right.
And we're like, what? Who the hell is Stephanie?
Right. No.
So it's like you're months late.
Unacceptable.
The damage has already been done.
There's so much wrong with that because the other children would know. The other parents would know.
Right.
The kid knows. The school knows.
It's going to get out.
And the parents don't know. It will eventually. But imagine being the parent to find it out after everybody knows. I just don't think that's fair because you need to guide your child so that they know what to do in that kind of situation with you involved. No one really knows their child like a parent knows their child. So for the school to take over in that situation, I just wouldn't even understand why the school would want to, because that is such a big responsibility. That's someone's child. They gave birth to them. That is their business. It's their business. It's the parent's business. The next step for the child. You can't put a student in a situation where you're going to take steps forward without telling the parent, this is what we're doing. So that scared me a little bit. And I thought, okay, let me find out a little bit more about this. I think
it was a very evil policy. I think it was written on purpose with the intent to create that wedge. There's nothing good about it. There's nothing good about creating that wedge between a parent and a child.
And I do understand that there's some kids that are either physically afraid of their parent. And again, I said, like you said, there's things in place to take care of that kind of thing. But there was a girl that came in during the mental health. I think it was a separate meeting and it was about mental health. And I went ahead and said that I don't think it's a school's business to know the mental health of a child. But there was a girl. She came in and she said that her father was abusing her. That's not what we're talking about here. I'm just talking about the regular child and the regular situation with the parents, the school, and the student. I'm not talking about a situation where we're above and beyond, where she can't go home because she's afraid of the people she lives with. That is completely not what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, if we already went over that. So,
yeah,
yeah,
so I just wanted to restate that because that is not the person I'm talking about. I have friends and family that have gone through very similar situations, and if the parents weren't involved, I don't think the child would be here today. So, and the person is not a child anymore, but when they started it, they were. And they needed their parents to guide them because there's steps that you need to take that I don't feel that the school should have a say in, not without the parent reeling it in and saying, let's go to my people first. And then steps can be taken, but the parent needs to know.
Right. What are some of the other policies or other issues in Ramapo Indian Hills that were a concern to you? Like what kind of,
one of the other things
lit the fire with you
that really hit me was the disparity in the schools, because I went to Hills and I graduated in 1981 and my kids went to Ramapo. They graduated in 2014 and 2010.
The disparity in what?
In the numbers, in the enrollment. I feel like Indian Hills has been left behind a little bit with sports.
Right. Their population's decreasing.
Really
I think
has.
Is it almost 2 to 1 right now?
I have heard, I don't know if it's 2 to 1. The last I've heard was, I think 2/3 go to Ramapo and then just 1/3 go to Hills. So, I don't know if,
why do you think that's happening?
I'm not sure. I believe when my kids went to Ramapo, I wanted them to go to Hills because that was, my heart's there. And I just loved the experience there. But for sports and friends, they went to Ramapo and they were very honest about it. So I knew about it then, but now it seems to be even more so. So I'd like to support some things that we can do at Hills to bring more kids in. I mean, there was the university program. I don't know what happened with that. I heard that the classes are way smaller now, and they've even gotten rid of some of the classes there. And then also the sports. They've really fallen behind in we don't even play the same teams. We're not in the same, whatever it's called, bracket or
right. And my son was on the tennis team, and the disparity between the quality of player also, it's not there in sports.
Yeah. And we used to play them on Thanksgiving, which is coming up. Our big Thanksgiving game would be back in the day, and it was pretty even. I mean, Hills would play Ramapo, and then all my cousins would go back to my grandma's, and we'd have this big, giant conversation about the game. It's not like that anymore. They're not on the same. It's not even. So I would like to find out why there's such a disparity. On my own, I can look into that, but then support things to maybe bring more people, more of the students, have it be the school of choice, if even possible, eventually, or at least even. So,
I'm not familiar. I'm on the K through 8, but for Ramapo, is it not choice right now? I thought it was.
It's choice.
When I was growing up, it used to be by the geographical zone. Like,
that's correct.
There were lines, so wherever you lived, it's like that was it. You didn't have a choice.
That's right. So I had no choice, but my kids did, and I still think there should be a choice, of course. But I would like Hills to be, if not the school of choice between the two, at least bring it up a little bit so that the enrollment is more even, and the sports. I think that's huge. The camaraderie. It should be like everybody should be psyched at those games and so excited that they're going to a football game, a soccer game, tennis match, whatever it is. So that's one thing.
What are some of the other ones? Have any of the people that you met during the campaign, have they brought up anything? Like, what do you find is their concern? Because you've been out talking to people, like, what are they saying is a concern of theirs?
I think test scores are huge right now. We had a meeting that I went to last week, and the test scores are a little bit scary right now. They're not where we used to be. We used to be a lighthouse district. It used to be an incredible top 20 in the state. I don't see that anymore. In fact, I looked it up and Googled it. I don't even think we're like 70 and 90.
You're talking between both schools,
between
not
both
just
schools.
Hills.
Yeah, not just Hills. Both have really come down. And I'm not sure. I know COVID was a big factor. So, but still, Tenafly. There's those schools that just keep knocking it out of the park, and I feel like Ramapo and Indian Hills have gone down in test scores. I think people are talking about that. And again, I'd like to support whatever it is. I know the new superintendent, another big thing people are talking about. I really trust her. I think she's going to be great. She seems lovely. Things I've heard about her, just asking around and reading articles and looking into some information, I really do believe she's going to be amazing. So maybe she can help with those test scores coming up. Yeah, I think we have a bright future. I just would like to support those few things because I feel like since COVID, there's been changes with everything. The mental health in the schools, kids not wanting to go to school. Even the parents are staying home a lot. So kids would want, of course,
Sure.
Just trying to get the attitude back to where we were, trying to get kids to want to go to school and enjoy school, go to sporting events.
It's the same thing in the workforce,
Exactly.
People, they don't want to go back to work. They don't want to come into the office anymore. And these business CEOs, they're like, get back into the office. Like,
exactly.
This COVID BS is over.
It's over.
It's over.
It's over. And it was over before they said it was over. And it's just taking a really long time.
Right.
A friend of mine that's a social worker said that, parents are dragging kids out of their beds in the morning because they just don't want to go. So, and I did want to clear one thing up about the mental health. My son had a 504. He had a scholarship to a D1 school for college. If he did not have that 504, he would not have been able to keep that scholarship because his grades were different than where his athletic ability was. So he needed that 504 from when he was in Woodside into FAMS into Ramapo. And I am not against that. I believe in it. I think it needs to be in the school. I just didn't want to add more on to what they already have. They have enough. They have what's needed. And I don't think that should be the focus. But I do 100% believe that what's in effect right now should stay. And I think it's working beautifully. Whatever it is that's there seems to be okay. So I'm not against mental health in the school if that's what you're calling mental health. When I was referring to mental health, I meant there doesn't need to be psychologists, psychiatrists, and counselors and all of the above to help with a child transitioning their gender. That's what I meant when I said the mental health should not be in the school as far as that. That was where people were misunderstanding me. So I totally believe in what we have there. I just don't think we need to add to it. I mean,
okay.
Does that make sense? I just
I think it's crazy that they would have any sort of program or protocol for that period. I just don't think that
right.
kind of stuff to address that situation
right.
should be in the school.
Right. I mean, look, I know if a kid can't pay attention and they're walking around
that's different.
My son was sharpening his pencil. He was walking around doing all kinds of things, cracking up, had the teacher crying, had the kids laughing. You have to do something, okay? And they would say, Mrs. Nash,
maybe make the class more interesting.
Oh,
you need to have good teachers. Some teachers are just boring.
I got stories, but and that's that. I get that. I do. In fact, my little granddaughter, I'm sure she's a little maniac, but she might be very much the same as that. And you have to settle her down. Do what you got to do. I'm okay with all that. So his 504 worked. Somehow we got through it and it was great. So I just wanted to clear that up because I don't want people to think that I don't understand that children are different. Of course they are. I have two of them and they're very different. And I've had many kids at my house and in my car driving hours to practices and dance competitions. And I understand all that. And you have to celebrate it. It's wonderful that they're different. So
how old are your kids?
My daughter's 32 and my son's going to be 29.
Very nice.
And my granddaughter is 2.5 and one on the way in a couple weeks. So
very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And I do it all for them. That's why I'm here.
And you have grandkids, right?
The 2.5-year-old and the one on the way.
Okay.
So, and they're in Wyckoff. They're going to grow up here too in this community. So that's what I'm here for. I would like to get back to school being about academics. I don't feel as though people have a right, school administrators have a right to take a child and bring them into an office and evaluate them in any psychological way. I feel as though they can help them and look at them and write a report, but then absolutely get the parent involved to take any further steps. I think that our schools have done wonderfully all these years, and I don't think there needs to be anything different than what's in place. And I believe that as far as test scores and that kind of thing, that will help us in the area of academics if we concentrate a little bit more in that area, because it's lacking. So leave the other stuff behind and let's concentrate on getting back to the reading, the writing, the math, the science, the test scores,
right,
and move forward. We're away from COVID now. Let's pull it together and get things going. Put it in gear.
What was your campaign slogan?
Academics, not activism. So
I love it.
Yeah, there's really no place for activism in the school. And people are saying, well, you're involved in activism right now because of what you're doing. It is political.
How so?
Well, I mean, I suppose this is political. I am running for something, and I'm running on a platform. So there is a slight bit of politics involved, even at this level. But I'm not using activism, I don't feel, to get my thoughts out there so that I can get votes. I'm just telling the truth. I am knocking on doors. I am sharing my opponent's record, her voting record. But she should be loud and proud. That's what she voted for. I am a conservative. We're not supposed to be partisan, but I do feel as though the conservative platform for me is important because it's stating that I want parents involved. So if they want to call me parents' rights activist, I don't know if that's really true.
I would wear it as a badge of honor.
I want parents involved, and if that's where we're going with this, then that's where we're going. But I am going to knock on doors. I do want to tell people what's going on. I do want to have parents involved. I do want the schools to have their test scores back where they were. So I do want Indian Hills to be equivalent to Ramapo.
Okay. It's funny when you brought up the thing about the test scores. We were just talking about it in the last board meeting that we had for K through 8. And when the kids, they take that state evaluation to compare our municipality or our district to the rest in the state.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of a little disappointing. You hope for better.
Right.
So I understand exactly where you're coming from because it does affect, the value of the property.
Absolutely.
Like you want the town to have good schools, but you also, you want to make sure that your school is doing the right thing and they're on the right course. Um, so that our kids, when we're already residents, we want to make sure that our kids are
Absolutely.
having a good education.
Right.
But at the same time, man, I'm listening to it and I'm just not sure if we should put so much stock in that exam or the results from that exam, because it doesn't count.
Right.
There's no like as a parent, we know, because the kids, they go through a lot. They already like I already feel like the workload that our kids have, it's so much more than what I had when I was a kid. It's crazy, whether it's the projects that they have to do,
Yes.
or the amount of reading,
Yes.
or the amount of studying. I feel like, they're learning things at an earlier age than we were learning them in some aspects also.
100%.
And like, for instance, like in math, I mean, I was pretty bright in math. I was taking calculus too, but they're already taking these courses at an earlier age. So it's kind of bonkers. But anyway, the point was that because of that and because of the workload, knowing that the test doesn't count, some of the parents here, they're a little more, relaxed about the results. They don't care so much. And the kid is going to be like, well, my parents don't care, I'm not going to care. And they go and they hand their test in. That was supposed to take a few hours. They hand it in like 20 minutes. So it's like, how is it really a reliable assessment
back
of
in the day,
where the school is? You understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah, back in the day, they used to call it the school's report card, because it was a school that was going to be under fire, not the kids, on the one test that we were actually looking at the numbers. So you're right. I remember even taking those tests and thinking, oh, thank God, this is not going to, my parents aren't going to get this in the mail and be like, what were you doing?
Exactly.
So, so yes, that was good. And I also remember my kids taking those tests, but now they've changed it a little bit in what they've named it and what they look at. But no, that's true. That's true. I do think there's a lot of pressure on them. So I get that too.
No, when I was talking, when I was speaking at the meeting, after I took in all that information, and I thought about it before the last year when we were talking about it, but I feel like almost like you're saying, I feel like a little fire in me now. Like maybe I'm going to be on a little bit of a mission for that. But like that's going to be my next goal as a board member. And I think that there should be some sort of program or initiative by the school administration, whether it's the board, the superintendent.
Right.
We'll have to look into it. But what I was saying at the meeting was, kids, or actually anybody, just human nature in general. We respond to pleasure. We respond to pain.
Of course.
So there has to be a carrot on the stick, number one.
Yeah.
And there has to be, a fire lit under their ass. So, they have to feel, oh, this counts some way, somehow. But then you could also throw a motivator in there like, hey, if the school gets above 80% in all these categories, we're going a great adventure. Something like that.
Absolutely.
I think that would be a great idea.
Yeah.
And these other municipalities, they probably do that. I would imagine that some of them do that.
Well, rewards work. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
I think so.
And I think kids love to look forward to that kind of thing. So, yeah, of course. If you could think of something. But
the staff has to be engaged. They have to be on some sort of mission. Everyone has to be aligned that we have a goal in mind.
Well,
you understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I would think they're rewarded in the fact that they're teaching at that amazing school that's getting these incredible school report cards. So, yeah, I mean, won't everything be better eventually? We're happy because our community has an incredible school system and people want to move into it. Teachers are happy because they're teaching at the school. Kids are happy because they're going to get something back. But the teachers really, and the administration, could salaries even go up? I mean, look, if we're going to be a lighthouse district again.
We just renegotiated the contracts, and they got their raise.
So it's a win-win for everybody.
But the level of education and the quality of the education, it has to be maintained or excel.
Excel. You would hope. I mean, isn't that really the goal overall?
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
So my son thought he was going to be a professional soccer player, because a lot of people told me he was going to be. So, and he looks a lot like Cristiano Ronaldo. So he thought that's where he was going. You would really have to motivate him to get a good grade back in the day. And then when he went to college, he was on the dean's list every time but one. So
that's great.
And I said to him, well, what were you doing to me? I had 8,000 tutors. What were you doing? He said, well, I didn't care. And I said, you should have shared that with me a little bit. And I kind of knew that. But
so what lit the fire under his butt? Why does he care now?
I think maturity, but he wanted to prove it to himself that he could do it.
That's
great.
great.
I was somewhat like that too. So there's always that factor of maturity, development, and reward. His reward was at that point that he wanted to know if he could do it, and he was rewarded greatly. So kids are just amazing little things that just are just an open book, each of them, and they're all different. So however it is that you reach them is amazing. So, but the grades where you are, I think that's the toughest. I think that's a whole nother animal over there.
It is.
I mean,
they're much more formidable. The younger they are, the more formidable they are.
Yes. But overall, I think since your guys are going to where our guys are, you're the board member of the younger group of children coming into where I would be a board member. It all matters because they're coming in and they're the ones deciding where they're going to go. You have, Valley, Eisenhower, and FAMS. Valley Middle, Eisenhower.
Valley? No, isn't that Wyckoff?
No,
I don't know. No, there's Woodside. Eisenhower's Wyckoff. We have Woodside, HMR's High Mountain Road, and Colonial.
Yes, but
and
I
then
meant the middle schools are Eisenhower and Valley Middle.
Oh, in
is it
in
Eisenhower?
Wyckoff? No, we only have FAMS. We only have FAMS.
And FAMS, but no, in Oakland it's Valley.
Oh,
Wyckoff,
I don't know Oakland.
It's Eisenhower, and then
yeah,
FAMS. So it's those three middle schools that are all going to join into the 2 high schools. So it's going from 3 middle schools to 2 high schools.
Right.
Because there's 3 towns, each with a middle, and then the 2. So you want them kind of all to be on the same wavelength. They're all coming in, and I was wondering about that. If you have any interaction with the other 2 schools coming in.
Not really.
Okay.
We're only focused on doing as well as we can in our own district.
Just trying to get through the day on that. I get that.
Yeah. No, you have to. It's like I said, it's a formidable age. Now there's a little bit of a difference between you and me. So when I ran, I wasn't planning on running. I'm busy. I got a crappy situation at work. Like I'm working too much during the week. I have like an 80-90 hour work week, and like I'm very engaged with the kids. So it's either work or it's playing the chauffeur, driving kids to soccer, or driving kids to tennis, or
absolutely
volleyball, whatever it was.
Of course,
there's very little downtime. So I had no aspiration to get involved public office whatsoever. But I was approached by some people because they said that they were having some issues in the schools. They wanted some help regarding, activism and other things. And I said, you know what? Okay, I'll listen.
Okay.
One of the reasons I said okay was because it was the K-8 district. Okay. And I said, okay, so kids are a little more formidable. I should have an impact there. If I can clean it up, it'll have more of an impact.
Yeah.
And it seemed like a little lighter of an atmosphere.
Okay.
For me to get involved politically. We'll say political, even though it's not supposed to be.
Right.
We don't have the R or the D in front of our name on the ballot.
Well, yeah.
But
shy.
one person asked me if I would do it for Ramapo Indian Hills. And I said, hell no. No way.
Yeah.
You couldn't pay me. Because when you go to those meetings, okay, take some popcorn and a soda and some candy or something.
I mean, no, I would feel it
the food fight over there is insane. It's not as bad as it used to be. It can be bad. It can be bad. But 3 years ago,
it's way better.
It was a food fight.
Absolutely.
Okay? I mean, the vitriol going back and
started.
Forth. It was so toxic. I couldn't believe it. So, did you know that going into this?
Well, my friend
were
had
you
said
aware of the
to
atmosphere there?
My friend had said to me, strap yourself into the seat and just watch.
Put your
sit there and put your seatbelt on and be like, sit back and watch. And I thought, how bad could it be? How bad? It's a school board.
It's pretty bad.
Well, I sat there and I could feel the tightness in my chest. I was like, and I have high blood pressure. I really don't need this right now. But I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I couldn't believe what they were calling each other and just the words they were using. And I was like, whoa. But then I started to think, I would like to maybe help in some way. I can see their point and I can see their point, right. But nobody's talking about it.
So you wanted to go on to be the peacemaker?
Well,
mediate a little bit?
I thought I could by just being in the audience. Maybe throw in something in there to be like, did you ever think of it this way? Hey guys, did you ever think of it this way? But I think they just looked at me like, she's a grandma. What the heck is she talking about? She doesn't even know anything. And really, I was new. So sometimes I was off on tangents up there. I didn't know if I was really helping anyone, but some people were listening. Yeah. And then people would text me and they'd be like, you had a really good point, and I'm not getting up there and saying it. I'm glad you said it. Yeah. And then somebody else would say, would you speak at this or would you speak at that? And I would say, okay, I'm still learning, but I'll give it a try. So then when the seat opened up, or it's going to be open, somebody said, well, a few people said to me, you can do this. And I thought, oh, I don't know. I watch my granddaughter during the day and I don't know.
So you were recruited? Somebody did
partially
pose
recruited.
It to you?
I'm going to say that there were people that said, come on, just do it. Give it a try. You're going to love it. You can do this. You speak well. And I said, okay. But then, now it's a lot. It is a lot. I'm going to admit that. It's a lot. I love learning.
Yeah, it's a huge sacrifice.
It is. I love the people. I love both sides. I don't have anything against anyone.
Isn't it sad
I really
that it's
just
so
don't.
toxic and polarized?
I'm hearing things that I've said that I never said. I'm hearing things that I feel that I don't feel. And I just wish I could say, and I guess I'm getting a chance right now, but somebody messaged me and told me to go back to saving wild animals. I didn't respond to her. I am an animal activist, but they said I have no place on the board. She doesn't know me.
Wow.
I guess I've just told you it's one half of the population.
It's okay.
It's a woman.
So you don't have to mention names.
I'm never going to mention a name because I don't want to drag her family into it. I don't. I respect her too.
There's no point.
I mean, I don't know who she is. I'm sure she's lovely, but I just get to know me first or listen. I wish that we all would give each other that chance because I like ideas. I want to hear everything. I keep saying I'm just learning. So let's talk about whatever you think I am because maybe I'm not that. Like I think.
Well, a lot of times the people that you're hanging out with in the beginning or the people that might have brought you into this world.
Yeah.
Okay. If there's already polarization or adversity between that person
yes.
and somebody else, and
yes.
then you're in their eyes guilty by association or whatnot of being aligned with the other side or whatever. And it's such a silly game because the truth is it's very sad that a board, the dynamic has to be toxic in some instances. And I think it's because sometimes people are so passionate about one little issue
yes.
or policy
yes.
or what
yes.
it may be.
Yes.
They forget that you guys are agreeing on almost 95% of the
100%.
other stuff. It's like,
Yes.
why do you have to
Yes.
sensationalize and make the biggest deal
Right.
or demonize somebody for
Right.
disagreeing with you
Right.
on this one out
Yes.
of the 1,000?
Yes.
And then personalities clash. And especially at Ramapo Indian Hills, because
Yeah.
you guys have a much bigger audience than
Yes.
we do. You're
Yes.
not just posing in front of your peers
3 towns.
on the board.
That's
Okay,
correct.
you're posturing in front of a sea of people that come to the meeting.
Absolutely.
So sometimes, people, they just want their 15 minutes,
Right.
and they think that they're going to get it, or they're going to have some
Effect.
not effect, but they want to come off like they want to be the star of the night.
Looking a certain way.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
They want to come off the alpha and like demonize somebody in front of.
Right.
It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. They shouldn't be doing that. If you want a healthy dynamic, you got to be willing to listen.
Yeah.
And just disagree civilly.
Yeah.
When I first came on the board, like you, probably more so, I was sick of the activism. Like,
Right.
I did not want the activism
Break
in
through
the
that.
school.
Yeah.
I hated it.
Yes.
I don't care what it was.
Yes.
If you're a Dem, if you're a Republican, if you're like for the rainbows, or
Right.
you're wearing a MAGA hat, or
Right.
Black Lives, whatever it was.
Right.
Okay, that shit shouldn't be in the school.
No.
It shouldn't be in the school.
No.
Okay,
No.
like these teachers, they shouldn't
No.
be wearing the pins. They
No,
shouldn't have
no.
these
I don't
banners,
think
or
so
like
either. No.
whatever.
No. Nobody
Well-
should know what you're. I don't say don't celebrate yourself. Celebrate, but don't. Shouldn't be an agenda attached to it. Whatever you are, I absolutely love big cats. You don't know that by looking at me, because I'm not wearing a cat on me.
All right.
I have worked for some of the harshest, scary people on earth, working for apex predators, because generally that's who's out there. You don't know that, because I'm not pushing it on you. I'm not telling you not to eat meat. I'm not telling you, you do you.
Right.
My home, I do what I want. Your home, you do what you want. I don't even put it on my Facebook that much, because I can't push my agenda. Now, if someone comes to me and asks me, or if I'm in the arena where we're talking about big cats, or if I'm at a sanctuary, or if I'm wherever I am, then you know that part about me. But I don't have to wear it every day
Right.
to celebrate that part of me. And I don't have to make you like big cats. I would love to tell you all about them one day. I would love to tell you how I save cubs. I would love to tell you how I save lions from being shot in the
You
wild.
can tell me whenever you want.
But I'm not going to tell you to do it,
Right.
because that's not.
Well, I'm just saying, just not in the school.
not
So
in the school.
publicly, you can do whatever
I
you
know,
want.
I
Like
know,
when you're
but-
not up there on the board, okay, when you're not in the school, like with the kids,
Yes. But
okay, you do whatever the hell you want.
But
okay?
that's just an
when-
example.
When,
what
right.
I was saying.
But when the teachers, principal, staff, like whoever, when you're around the kids,
Yeah.
they're not your kids. Parents have different
Hands
values, and you got to respect it. And
Hands off.
you can't be crossing the line. They're there to
100%.
learn math,
That's right.
grammar,
Exactly.
science, that kind of
Yes.
stuff. All the other stuff,
Yes.
shut your mouth
And-
don't project on my kid. That's all.
And that's what my example was. No one should project on anyone, but especially in the school. That child enters that school. They should be learning nothing else
Right.
but the subjects in school.
It's a domain for education,
That's right.
not indoctrination.
Absolutely not.
Okay, activism, we
100%.
agree, has no place
100%.
in the school.
And when you said before that you align yourself with somebody, I don't think people align themselves with people on purpose. I don't think that I would seek out. I have to know Scott.
Mm.
I think when people sit down with each other and they're of like minds, they tend to gravitate towards each other. So I tended to I obviously gravitated toward the people that are like me. It wasn't like I chose them or they chose me.
Sure.
to push into something I didn't want to do.
It's natural.
It just happened like, I really believe that. In my heart and soul, I believe what you're saying. You and I are not exactly alike. The other night we spoke about it.
Right.
But there are enough similarities that if you want to call it a side or not, we are aligned. So that's the only reason I know the people that I know is because I feel comfortable. I'm similar to them. Our families are similar. Our likes and dislikes are similar. That's not to say I don't like other people. My cousin is a complete other side than I am. And we have amazing discussions. But when it comes to this kind of thing, people are saying that I'm aligned with people. It's only because I'm learning and asking questions to the people that seem to know the subjects in which I'm interested.
Right.
So,
right. And they share your interests.
And
so.
they share.
Yeah.
So that's not a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. But I do want to learn. I do want to hear what other people have to say that don't agree with me. Because I'm more than willing to say, wow, I didn't know that.
Right.
Let's talk about it. Let me hear your point of view. That's what makes the United States the United States. America was founded on that freedom. So I love that part. But in the school, I believe, as much as freedom as we have, that we should stick to the subjects at hand: reading, writing, math.
Agreed.
And so,
well, good luck with everything, because you're going to need, if you win the election, you're going to need a very thick skin once you're up there. And also in the private sessions, who knows, like maybe some people will test you, throw some things out there. And,
yeah.
You got to have a thick skin.
Yeah. Well, like I said, listen, I was a dance mom, a soccer mom, and an animal activist. So I've been up against some scary scaries. And you know what? The easiest thing in the world is to be honest to yourself and to be honest to others. And I think while you're sitting there, that's all you have to do. So you can't be swayed. You just have to believe in what you believe in and always listen, open mind, but be honest. And I don't think you can lose.
Well, good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for running. And, it's going to be tough for you. You got an uphill battle, as we talked about, because you're in position 2. There's position 1, which, it seems like on the ballot, just so everybody knows, it seems on the ballot, when you're voting conservative or Republican down the line, your opponent is there, and you happen to be in the other column, even though you are conservative. You're in column 2. So if you want to vote for Caryn Nash,
column 2.
It's column 2. But
I have been telling people when I go door to door, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to say, if you believe in who I am and what I believe and want to support me, column 2, because it's a little bit hard to navigate that second page. So that's one of the reasons I'm doing that, just to reach out to people to say column 2. Yeah.
Half the reason I'm running for the second term is so I can get to be on the same ballot as Trump. I was like, that looks so cool. Yeah, Trump, everybody else.
I know.
Me.
Well, I have, my family that's already voted was like, this is incredible. You're like almost famous. And I was like, well, who knew? If you would have told me that last year at this time, I'd have, come on. I'm not going to be.
How are you feeling about the election? Like, what's the temperature out there when you're going door to door? Like,
you mean for me?
Yeah. How are you feeling about your
chances?
Yeah.
Helen's got a lot of support. I've never spoken to her one-on-one.
She does. She's very popular.
I think she has a lot of support, and I don't know. I don't know. It's really a mom against a grandma. Both love our families, and it's her beliefs against mine. I'm sure there's similarities in what we feel, but it's just really her voting record against what I support. And that's going to be the choice.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Not just to you, to everybody else who's
Yes,
putting
good luck to
themselves out
everyone.
there,
Yes.
on the ballot. It is a huge sacrifice,
Yes.
and we appreciate the service, and we
Yes.
appreciate the time, because it really isn't an easy thing. And
No.
you got to be very passionate about what you believe in order
Yeah.
to do that and sacrifice. So,
Yeah.
good luck to everybody out there on the ballot.
Same
And
for
Caryn,
me.
thank you so much for coming in and talking to us.
Thank
I
you
really
for
enjoyed this.
having me.
This is the first podcast, and I was extremely nervous. I didn't know how it was going to go, but it seemed like it went well.
Great.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, we did wonderfully. Thank you.
All right.
And
Thank you
good
so
luck
much.
to you too. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Have a good one.
Thank you.